Want to step into the world of the rich and famous with the ultimate luxury lifestyle? Get a royal subscription to Beverly Hills Magazine today. Visit BeverlyHillsMagazine.com now.
Hello and welcome to the world's most famous podcast produced by Beverly Hills Magazine. I'm your hostess, Jacqueline Maddison. Today we are thrilled to have Paula Rose Castronova, a distinguished leader in sustainable development and environmental policy. Paula's expertise lies in tackling climate change challenges, promoting holistic sustainability, and driving innovative solutions for a sustainable future. Let us explore her journey and insights into creating a better world for generations to come.
Hello.
Hello, how are you, Paula?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's lovely to have you on. It's such an honor to spend some time with you today.
Well, it's such an honor to spend some time with you. Thank you so much for asking me.
Yes, of course. So please share a little bit about your background and the journey that led you to your career in sustainability.
Well, actually, I was born in Los Angeles. My family moved to Sydney, Australia in my teens. As an adult, I have lived in Los Angeles and New Zealand, Tokyo, London, New York, Atlanta, and Sydney, and traveled to many parts of the world. I know what you have been through recently is hard and feel our collective grief. I personally have learned to traverse many cultures by diving into sustainable leadership. Business, tourism, and culinary arts has brought me a sense of different cultures as vibrant expressions. And through my thoughtful research, I believe that we can keep our creative country's origins, yet work for the planet's health and wellness. And I go to great lengths to find the best solutions and lay foundations for our collective, sustainable, and collaborative futures.
Yes, absolutely. So what keeps you motivated when addressing the challenges of climate change and sustainability? Perhaps it's the unusual weather phenomenon. I don't know. What is it for you?
My motivation, I am inspired by the recognition that we are all on different pathways and we see things separately. Yet our DNA is intrinsically, all the same. I see a future that brings us all together and live a healthier life in harmony with nature, not apart from it. That is my idea of what I think God would want us to do, to look after each other, no matter who we are, and the planet with all its wonder and diversity. So my motivation is to change our current society-based values and beliefs that are around the extractive model that depletes not only our planet, but also our collective souls.
Wow.
And I believe to balance our planet, we must look inward to cultivate our inner health and wellness. And these are intrinsically tied together in our web of life. And then if we cultivate our inner strength, it will galvanize our mindset to transform our environments in line with those holistic values of cooperation, regeneration, peace, and prosperity for every one of us, and not only for now, but for far into the future.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. God gave us the earth and he gave us dominion over it, and we must love it and care for it and ensure its survival. And you're right, that stems from the choices we make and whether or not our choices are made from a place of compassion and love and care or not. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's so important that we heal within to heal the without.
That's exactly it. And then also using, the knowledge, that you have to facilitate that, but it has to first come from your spiritual self and who we are as a collective humanity inside.
It's so true too, because the earth is living, breathing. It's alive. And so we must understand we are spiritual beings, but the earth also has a spiritual element to it, which we just tend to perceive with our eyes, right? But when we open our spiritual eyes and understand the spiritual reality, that's why there was an experiment done where scientists spoke to plants or salt or something, and it changed the actual DNA. So the words we speak, the actions we take is impacting the world around us on a spiritual level. And it's so important that we are careful of the actual impact we're having, for good or ill.
Exactly.
So now,
Perfect.
Can you explain the role of a sustainable growth director, which you hold, and how does it tie into the broader environmental goals?
Okay, well, basically, my definition of a sustainable growth director and what I try to practice is
Mm,
that we have a deep understanding of the interconnectedness between economical, social, and environmental considerations,
right.
which I can deep dive later if you like.
Yeah.
We must be adept at identifying opportunities for sustainable innovation. And in turn, that will build strong partnerships and inspire our stakeholders around us to embrace a shared vision for a sustainable future that actually addresses the diverse needs and perspectives of different communities.
Yeah.
So, if I would work with organizations, I would try to drive the recognition of the intrinsic value of every individual and the interconnectedness of all life on our planet, as we were just saying. I
Right.
strive to build those bridges between diverse groups and organizations.
Mm.
Not always easy, but especially in the current geopolitical world we live in.
Right.
But I do let that go and take that spiritual journey that I have in my motivation, and that encourages collaboration and fosters a culture of inclusivity and respect. And then by leverage my background, because I do have a background in media presentation and content creation, mostly on the production side,
Mm.
I'm aimed to communicate the importance of sustainability so that then in turn I can inspire the other people that I'm talking to take concrete actions and to create a more resilient and equitable world.
Yes, absolutely. Sustainability has become kind of a key phrase in today's day and age, especially in business, you know, because I think we as a collective, humankind, are waking up to our need to care for the world around us, and that includes incorporating that into our businesses, into our daily lives, whether it's recycling, whether it's creating vegan products or etc. So you work with organizations to implement these practices.
Yeah, well,
Um,
but I mean, going, excuse me, going back to, the businesses and what we're doing,
yeah.
I understood it all from my studies with Cambridge,
Mm,
and it's actually the Institute of Sustainable Leadership at Cambridge, or the Cambridge Institute of Sustainable Leadership.
yeah.
And during COVID, because I was in the hospitality and wine industry, I was doing my master's in gastronomical tourism. I worked in wine magazines, and really understood the sustainable development that existed within rural communities and how to keep them, similar to Napa, how to keep them entrenched in sort of and environmentally healthy, but yet people be able to enjoy themselves. So tourism is such a big contributor to sustainability, and how do we achieve that?
Yeah.
And then Harvard with Business and Society, they both have taught me that exactly what you're saying, that it is about business, which brought me to start my own business as a sustainable growth director, because we do find that that brings a more equitable future for human rights as well. So that's all tied into our human value as people in business, and then sustainability brings that forward. So they are all tied together, and government and civil society and business, private sector have to all work together, because we are organic people, and if you look at our earth systems, they're organic as well. So it makes perfect sense that we shouldn't have business as usual outside in our own separate silos, but bring us all together to work together to we can, as humans, we've achieved so much so far. Why can't we change it to make climate change that you've seen with the fires, and here too, the Black Summer bushfires were just as bad, and that was a big wake up call for Australia. I'm half Australian, so I live here
Oh,
when I want to, and love living in Los Angeles as well. And yeah, so it brings us to a place where we question our choices in life, and what has happened to our world, and why are we here?
yeah,
Um,
that's
yeah.
exactly right. What are some challenges that you face in this role, and how do you overcome them?
Well, as far as the challenges go,
Mm,
I think that on the most part, we do see that oh gosh, it's very hard to sort of I'm
Because I
trying to
imagine it would
think.
be unique to, let's say, each company or each initiative to what their ultimate goals are and the impact it's going to have on the world, right? So,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah.
Sorry, I was just trying to get my thoughts together. There's
No,
so
it's
much
fine.
here, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, well, actually, I think that the most pressing problem is the measuring and reporting of sustainability performance because
Mm,
it's complex, and it requires the development of effective, like, metrics, I guess, to
yeah.
demonstrate progress and build trust among these stakeholders. And that's very challenging.
Mhm.
And despite these challenges, the role is rewarding. And we do need to drive that transformative change and keep the positive impact for people and planet. There's another thing I'm thinking of is that, the evolving sustainability science and policy and actively seeking innovative solutions while ensuring compliance. That's very hard because the resource constraints on a lot of companies can make it difficult. They can't secure the funding or build a dedicated team of sustainability people, where it's especially where in organizations that sustainability isn't a priority.
Right.
And then there is, that resistance, to altering longstanding habits, which I think we're seeing quite evidently now.
So true.
And investing in new technologies is a common obstacle that I
Absolutely.
find.
So, what does holistic sustainability mean, and why is it essential in addressing climate change?
Um, well, holistic sustainability um, is something that is very close to my heart. Um, Basically, I guess you could align it to, holistic medicine as they talk about now. And,
Mm,
sort of it's more about the integrative approach to sustainable development.
mm,
So it aims to balance the needs of the present and future generations by recognizing our interconnectedness of all our Earth systems. And the
right,
imbalances of these is what causes climate change to exist on our planet.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
there are, I know there are the three pillars. So it's basically preventative,
Mhm.
and how we can prevent things from happening by becoming more sustainable, as a global humanity, and global organizations, because we live on the whole planet, even though we are different countries and
Right.
have different beliefs,
Mhm.
whether they be spiritual or cultural. But we do have to come together, and that brought me to the Sustainable Development Goals. And I am a sustainability director on the board of the UNAA here,
Wow.
and that is very much motivated me to just give my time to support endeavors that matter in the sustainable development world. Um, so the three pillars of holistic sustainability, then maybe would you like me to explain the environmental, social, and economic factors, or just the way I implement holistic
Yeah, I was
sustainability?
going to ask you, how do you incorporate
Cool.
those three pillars into
Okay,
your
great.
strategies? And
Right.
someone who's looking to do the same in their business.
Yeah, exactly. So, integrated policy making is very important. So, that would advocate for policies that address environmental, social, and economic thoughts,
Mm,
across sectors to collaborate. And then you need to develop sustainable business practices. So, that encourages business to adopt eco-friendly practices, as we were saying, and encourages in corporate social responsibility, which is the other side to helping the holistic growth, for people and planet. And then community engagement and education. Those are predominantly the most important, because um, we need to educate. It's even as you were just saying, how do other people get to know this? And I'm writing a book and then going to develop a course around it, because I think the more that we do this, then that other people can see how they can incorporate it into their businesses by taking the academic side and bringing it to mass media. So breaking it down into really relatable ways of empowering, sort of organizations and individuals to make their sustainable choices.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I encourage you, write the book sooner than later, because I think as a
Thank
whole,
you.
people are seeking practical strategies to apply these principles, and the earth needs it. We need to start making some changes to affect the health and wellness and the prosperity of our earth. which was the greatest gift God ever gave us, second to life itself, of course.
Yes.
So,
That's very true. I see that every day, in every flower and just so
yeah.
grateful, that
Mm,
God gave us such a paradise and why we want to ruin it with pollution. I mean, that always, even as a child, I was raised very religious and
mm.
even as a child, I wondered, living in Los Angeles, why we had the pollution, and the fires were there, even then. So,
Yeah, I
um,
know. I'm of the mind. Let's go back to Garden of Eden. Just eat the fruits and vegetables. Let's, live naturally. And it's so, but I think in a way that sustainability and being, environmentally conscious is a little bit going back to the Garden of Eden, where
yes.
we love and care for and appreciate the natural earth that we've been given, and it is a responsibility to do so.
Well, even the songs of the 60s and 70s, weren't they about going back to Eden and, the spiritualness of it?
Yeah.
Definitely. It was, you know, I remember my older cousins, sort of being part of that generation and how we come from a very large Sicilian Italian family.
Awesome.
And they just embraced the natural world and
Wow.
respected it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why also I think that there's the blue zones and people in the Mediterranean tend to live over 100 years old. So it's like I think they're onto something.
Yes, I have studied food as medicine and I appreciate the blue zones. I actually wrote a recipe book for someone around the blue zones
Really?
because I
Exactly.
have a high honors degree from the Cordon Bleu, Los Angeles, actually.
Wow, you're
And
amazing, Paula. Look at you. You're like a superwoman. I'm very impressed with all your accomplishments. You're quite the talented gal God has given
well,
you.
it sort of, yeah, I think I'm just guided by the passion of doing it and very much in a creative way before. But since all, bushfires for us here
Yeah.
and you there and COVID-19, and then we had massive floodings and you've had massive floodings. I mean, me, this is biblical.
Oh,
And I really
yes.
had to go inside and ask myself, what can I do to help us? What is going on? And it drove me to sustainable development,
I love that.
which is so we can be positive and we can give that to our children.
Well, and also, I like even with the very unusual snow covering on the East Coast in Florida. I mean, Florida is known for their beaches. So, God is speaking through nature now more than ever. And I think even the earth, the Bible says something, the earth groans, waiting for the manifestation of the children of God. That means waiting for us to step into our full responsibility to care for the earth and to align with God's will for us, to not only to fulfill our own individual purposes, utilizing the gifts and talents he gave us, but also collectively as a whole to take care of the earth which he gave to us. It's a
No,
gift.
beautifully said. Beautifully said. And wholly embrace what you have just sort of enlightened even me with because you believe it in your heart, but it's very hard to articulate it and to bring that forward as part of what our intrinsic selves believe.
And I love how you said you're guided. And, likewise, and that's why I think like prayer is so important. It's like going into a meeting with God, the CEO of the universe, right? Where he now imparts to us what we must be doing. Actually, there's a scripture that says, if you commit all your works to the Lord, your thoughts will be established. So God will guide us into our purpose. And it's what I noticed about the Lord is your purpose and your business that he leads you to start will always have a philanthropic or an altruistic or some sort of giving back, caring either for others or the earth as a part of your purpose, which is amazing. So we have to seek God for that so that we can
I
walk in
def
it.
Of course, that's exact. You have explained exactly how it's happened to me. I mean, the universe is opening up to me in so many ways because I've chosen this path,
Mm.
and I do believe it is, God and the work that you do to not only help yourself in how you feel your journey is, but to actually help others,
Yes.
and the earth and the planet. You can see it's crying, that
Oh,
it needs
yeah.
that it The Earth systems, I mean, we can talk a little bit about tipping points if you like, in more of an academic sense, but the Earth systems are collapsing. And it's basically from what we've done just by the goods and services that we buy. So if we change that through nature capital and things and really putting nature as part of our domestic growth and how we align, economically with how we measure our worth, that has to take in that exactly what you're saying. That is part of holistic sustainability. Bring God into the picture, bring nature into the picture, of that it's equal and that their resources that we're using for free. And I do call her Mother Nature, that because she gives and gives and gives, but she can't give anymore. There's no more to give, and we have to appreciate that and balance that out by our own actions as individuals and organizations and governments.
It's true. And so as a Christian and in my relationship with Jesus, how he teaches us that, to the greatest of all will become a servant of all. So whether it's in your business or in your personal life, like with you being led and guided to become a sustainability growth director, you're being of service, and service to what? To the greater good, to mankind, to the collective consciousness, if you will, But I wanted to talk about this nature capital that you mentioned, but I also want to get into sort of some political discussion. So why do you believe that it is crucial to address climate change through nonpartisan policies, which I agree with wholeheartedly as well? But what's your thought on that?
Nonpartisan policies. Okay, so, well, they are essential for sustainable development to be cohesive in the long term. So it ensures that sustainability and effective actions are across political administrations, not due to political administrations.
Right.
So it's very much tied into the politics of accepting just unanimously that we do have a problem here that goes across any ideas of or political beliefs, and we need to align those policies and shared common values with all political parties, and then they can be adopted, and the main point is they can be maintained over time. And also, then we answer the consistency is crucial for the long-term success of any climate initiatives that we put together. And that also builds trust for the public, so they then trust the government that the actions that they actually vote for are being implemented and staying to be implemented, and not changed or rolled back. So if you frame this, as a universal issue and that it transcends, any political ideologies, then we can actually develop unified and cohesive strategies to move climate policy, to move towards a balanced universe and a balanced nature system. So I think maybe climate change is used a little too much, that word.
I agree.
It's about balancing Earth systems.
Yeah. So what roles do citizens and businesses play in advocating for and supporting these? And I agree with you as well. There needs to be a high level of accountability and commitment from the policy makers and those that have the power to implement them. And they do need to be long term. But what roles do we have? Like, can we create petitions, or how can we actually affect the change?
Yeah, I think that in supporting sustainability, as a nonpartisan initiatives, it has to be through innovation, community engagement, and responsible practices. So partnerships between businesses, government agencies, and nonprofit organizations, then we can amplify these sustainable initiatives by sharing the resources and expertise and ensuring impactful environmental policies do happen. And that in turn, can shape, the public opinion and decision making. Communities, our own communities in each section of our society, I think they've been neglected. And they can now, if we get together as communities within our different cities, because, the terrain, the environments are different, and then how we want to see our future world plays an important part in the urban planning. And then so that's, if our communities, adopt those key eco-friendly practices and advocate for environmental justice. And that has to do with the grassroots movements that, we've seen for a very long time. And then that raises climate awareness and mobilizes support for sustainable policies. In turn, that can engage our local conversations, like the conversation we're having right now, and we can hold our governments accountable as well, so that those policies that they're implementing align with what we as our community values the most.
Yes, absolutely. And you mentioned nature capital, which I love the concept of. Can you explain that further, how it factors into sustainable development, and also innovative ways we can invest in and protect the nature capital for long-term benefits?
Yes, I agree with you completely. When I found out about nature capital in I think it was at Cambridge before I went to Harvard, although they mention it a lot as well, because it is part of business. There needs to be 4 sections, it should be NGDP, not, so that we take that into account.
Right.
And basically it is our natural resources and ecosystems. So it provides the services, that are essential for our own human survival. And that's clean air, water, and food.
Yep.
If these go away, we as humans
And
won't survive.
when you say food, you're talking about like natural vegetation, agriculture, right? Okay.
Agriculture, biodiversity, we can bring into that as well, which is the biodiversity of the planet. But for humans to survive, it's for us, our nourishment is through food, which is land, soil, health, agriculture. And then it also includes renewable resources such as forests and fish, which can regenerate. And then the non-renewable resources, which is fossil fuels that are finite. Right. So basically, nature capital is vital for sustainable development because it underpins our economic growth, job creation. It applies to public health and our own national security, because these are existential threats, as we're seeing in all the climate disasters.
Wow. Such a profound perspective. I'm fascinated by your understanding of this subject, and I agree with you wholeheartedly that there needs to be a re-education of the populations of the world, so they too can come into a true understanding of the great responsibility we all have on a macro and a micro level to implement the necessary changes that are required for sustainability. And now you mentioned tipping points, Earth's tipping points, which I'm very curious about. Tell me about those, and why should those be at the forefront of sustainability discussions?
Right. Okay. Well, we have 9 planetary boundaries, and already 6 of them have been crossed to the point where they are deemed to not be able to function properly. So what that means, Earth's tipping points are crucial limits in our natural systems that, when crossed, can cause sudden and irreversible damage. They exist. It is actually quite,
alarming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to alarm anyone, but
no, but hello.
I was looking for a word that might not be as sort of
right.
strong.
But it is. It's alarming.
Thank you. Tipping points exist in a range of systems. The cryosphere, which is our ice, anything that has to do with ice on our planet, within the Earth's ocean systems that are warming and changing at a rapid rate. Scientists don't even know, have never charted that before, as far as what's happening now. And then in the terrestrial systems, which is our rainforests, grasslands, and our deserts. So tipping points are elements of Earth's systems in which small changes that can kick off reinforcing loops that tip a system from one stable state into a profoundly different unstable state. So the ones that have been breached are climate change, biodiversity loss and species extinction, biochemical flows, land system change, freshwater use, and the introduction of novel entities or safe operating spaces for humans to exist.
Wow. Amazing.
And many of these tipping points that I've just discussed, they're dangerously close, to being over the threshold, if you like.
Right.
For example, the Arctic is warming rapidly, and that's leading to more ice melting, and the deforestation of the Amazon threatens its role as a carbon sink. And then the thawing permafrost is also releasing more methane, which is even more dangerous than CO2 into the atmosphere. And this is all causing extreme global warming at a faster rate than any scientist predicted.
Right.
And if we
And
start
imbalances.
go ahead,
Sorry, no,
go ahead.
and
No, you go.
imbalances, right? So it's like the earth should operate in a homeostasis, but right now when these systems are out of balance and in jeopardy, because we've crossed those thresholds of what is acceptable for those systems, it becomes a problem, a big problem. But go on. I want you to finish what what you were saying.
Oh, well, no, I think that if we cross these tipping points,
Yeah.
then, if we try to avoid them and we develop, holistic sustainability or sustainability, I look at it not like my own vision is holistic sustainability, but however I can help any business, any individual, any organization to one get the message out in the media sense of what we can do to help individuals understand what they can do,
Right.
because then there becomes the mental health issues and all the things. Well, it's not working together and nothing's happening and we don't understand on that point of view, as well as organizations coming together and understanding how they can bring efforts forward. But we don't have the time. I guess that's what I'm trying to get to, is that we don't have the time to waste anymore. That we have to take the
Right.
action now.
Wow.
And it's becoming even harder to take that action, as you can see.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's like we have to invest in our future. And they say the children are our future. So, how important is it to educate, let's say, the younger generations about sustainability? And what's your vision for empowering the youth to take an active role in building a sustainable future, their future?
well, educating the youth in sustainability, it's essential for several reasons. I think that young people are the future stewards of our planet, and then by providing the knowledge of sustainability, we can then empower them to make informed decisions that benefit both the environment and society. So early education fosters that sense of responsibility. I think it encourages eco-friendly habits then from a young age, and then they become future innovators and leaders. And then they will be addressing environmental challenges, and developing new solutions to combat climate change. And that also, if we put sustainability into their interdisciplinary learning by linking the scientific with our social and economic aspects of environmental issues, we create a well-rounded, individual. And then, by us prioritizing the sustainable education, we can ensure that future generations inherit a thriving world. And then schools,
Absolutely.
communities, go ahead. Yeah, exactly.
Schools, communities, what? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. I just, on the train of thought, I think schools, communities, and organizations could work together, to integrate the sustainability, and that goes into our daily life. And then helps us raise awareness we can be environmental citizens, and be aware of our surroundings.
Yeah, and then on a very micro level, as parents, teaching them the importance of recycling and, growing their own little small gardens and being self-sustained. These little things can really educate and empower and instill in the children of the future these practices, because it's these little actions that ultimately make the big difference that affect the long run results.
That's very true. And it's also about, sort of, not using invasive species, and how you have your homes and how you build your homes, and all the community learning of whatever environmental, well, especially in LA, with the fires, how do we, safeguard ourselves, in the future? How do we rebuild and make it safe, and that people understand that even though it's so beautiful, you can't have it that close. We had the same problems here. People, the eucalyptus gets too close to the homes, and then they just, go up in smoke. You have to have those breaks, and you have to follow sort of those kind of rules that you understand that the indigenous plants, and that goes for agriculture as well. You can't, and you can't really grow bananas, in the Midwest, and they do. So we've sort of introduced these different ideas of that we have taken over the role, I would, of God, that we can say that, but the planet is what we need to follow. We need to follow the signs that are there that tell us what should be there. And it's been put there, for a reason. Those plants have been put there for a reason because they're fire retardant. So, it's a very logical way to go.
Well, I think that God gave us dominion over the earth for a reason. And I think that God is speaking through nature right now, through these unusual phenomenons, the quote unquote climate change experiences that are speaking to us. And I think that COVID occurred because it was like God sending all of us to our rooms as a timeout, saying, you need to sit and think about your life and start making some different decisions. And many people changed their life courses during that time for the better. They started aligning with their purpose into a place.
That's what I did. Exactly.
You see, into a place of servitude. So my point is, though, the times of being ignorant are over. We have to start taking action. We have to start taking initiative to make the world a better place through our own purpose, through our own service, and to protecting the earth and the world that God gave us. Before I let you go, are there any final statements or anything that, one, I definitely want to know, how can people contact you? How can they reach you to work with you as a consultant or business advisor for their own sustainability practices?
Oh, well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I'm actually on LinkedIn, and so you can, and academia.com. I will give you all those so that you can put them in the show notes, and also for your magazine, which I absolutely love and love reading.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
But do you have a website, or you're just on LinkedIn?
I'm only on LinkedIn at this point. Because I've been so busy and starting this from scratch in the last maybe year and a half, and with my UN role as well, I haven't had time to actually form that. Once I finish the book, then that will all be included in the website. But for now, I'm actually with a speaker's agent, and media presentation, keynotes, and panel discussions, or coaching and consulting I'm available for, so they can all get me on LinkedIn in my services page.
Perfect.
I'd love to summarize by saying that investing in community involvement and leveraging technology and pushing for support and advocacy, we can come together and lay the foundations for a more sustainable and environmentally conscious future. I think that these efforts will not only empower us, but our young generation, not as the other, but with us, to foster a sense of responsibility and stewardship. And then that can drive positive change on a global scale. And together we can cultivate a world where sustainability is not just an ideal, but we can practice that in reality every single day.
Absolutely. Well said. And from your mouth to God's ears, I stand in total agreement. And I'm so glad we had a chance to have this conversation. It was an honor to spend some time with you. You are brilliant in your knowledge, in your insights, and I'm just hopeful that listeners will reach out to you, work with you, and that we can start to see a greater effect of the impact of implementing sustainability on a personal level and on a global level in our businesses. This needs to become the normal, and not the exception, so to speak.
Yes, thank you, Jacqueline. I couldn't have said that better myself. I am grateful and honored to be asked by you. I appreciate and believe so much in your mission and goals, and thank you for being on the planet and helping us to achieve this.
God bless you. And when the website is up and when your book is launched, please do reach back out to us so that we can add those to your the interview that will be published at Beverly Hills Magazine.
That should be in the next few months. I would love to. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Blessed day.
You too. I wish you boundless success.
Sorry, it's evening over there. Evening. Have a wonderful and blessed evening.
You too, dear. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.